Okay, that's a good cast. Our Friday political panel tonight: Montgomery County Republican Evan Young, Prince George's County Republican Brandon Cooper, and Prince George's County Democrat Maurice Simpson Jr. We're going to do as Drake would do. We're going to start from the bottom, okay? What didn't we cover this week? I'm going to give you guys the first shot at me. What didn't we cover? What did we totally ignore that we should have covered? Evan?
One thing that's disappointing to me, of the many regressive punitive taxes the Obama administration ushered in, one was the capital gains tax rate hike from 15 to 23.8%. 3.8% of that's factored directly into Obamacare, and the current GOP healthcare plan at this point keeps it in there. We saw the lowest average GDP growth of any president and lowest business investment rate in the last 50 years, partially because of decreased investment activity and changes in investment attitude because of a high tax rate, and I don't see why any Republican would get behind keeping that in place as it is.
What do we miss?
Speaking of healthcare, I think the healthcare debate has gotten drowned out by all these emails again. We should be talking about how people with pre-existing conditions are being impacted. My former Congresswoman Donna Edwards recently talked about how how of a healthy lifestyle she lived and still was diagnosed with MS a year ago. And so we're talking about people who do not have a pre-existing condition because they're bad people, but simply because they do. And the amount of people who are going to be impacted by these guys' plans.
Yeah. Okay. It was a strong op-ed by Donna Edwards. I read that as well. For me, it would be foreign policy. You saw last week whether it was in France with Donald Trump, and Macron was very positive reception of him. You had the King of Saudi Arabia congratulating President Trump on taking back Mosul after 9 months of operations there. You also have in Afghanistan, the military Pentagon announced that they killed the leader of ISIS in Afghanistan. There's a lot of victories overseas, but you say there's been distraction here domestically because of the emails. Okay,
and I was going to pivot on that. Okay, and we didn't get to that, or you didn't hear as much about that as you wanted because of what? And do you blame us, or do you blame the administration?
Yeah.
Evan, let's start with you. Let's go back this way.
Well, I remember after he tweeted about Mika Brzezinski a few weeks ago, he then tweeted afterwards that eventually they're going to have to start covering healthcare reform and taxes and all these other things. Well, when you give them easy ways to not talk about it, you can't really be too disappointed when it's not the main topic of discussion.
Right. Okay.
No, I mean, I think this is, true Trump form. When things aren't going his way legislatively, they try to move the ball. And so I think, here we have another set of emails. They started back last year with Hillary Clinton's emails, and we had it earlier in the year when we were talking about health care the first time, and then we were talking about the Muslim ban, and here their health care plan is waffling, and now we have more emails.
Let me ask the two Republicans here. Is health care going to pass?
No.
Are they going to have a vote on it? Is it going to pass?
I mean, it does pass eventually. I mean, we all agree.
Well, what do you mean eventually? I mean, in my lifetime. I'm asking in my lifetime.
Bruce, both sides agree, whether Democrat or Republican, that the status quo cannot remain the same. So some type of bill is going to have to pass, or else health care is going to be in trouble for a lot of us. So something is going to have to pass.
It will. I don't see the need why there's such an idea that it has to be done yesterday and what the hurry is.
What you keep hearing is because we promised.
Affordable Care Act got signed into law 14 months into President Obama's tenure. There's no need to set this artificial deadline of it must be done now, it must be done before August. It has to be done right, however long that takes.
Okay, the president says that his son did what anybody would have done. It's no big deal that he met with the Russian lawyer and brought the others along with him, the son-in-law and others. Was it a big deal?
It was a very big deal. I mean, as someone who is...
Wait, I get a short. I don't know what that means.
No. It's an issue. It's definitely an issue. As the president continues to show that he's probably his biggest enemy, he continues to do things either currently or in the past that distract from his agenda. So it's definitely an issue. But again, there's nothing after a year and a half or a year.
When I say it's a big deal, there's an investigation going on. So
for a year now. For a year now, we'll find out.
Yeah, but the special prosecutor hasn't been in place for a year now. Is it a big deal?
Yeah, I think it's a very big deal. As many campaigns I worked on, interned on, I've never sought information from the Russian government. I mean, this is not standard, opposition research.
It's a big deal. The bigger deal is the terrible economy left by the past administration. The single mom working 3 jobs to make ends meet doesn't care how many Russians were in that meeting. She needs a job and a progressive tax rate.
To that point, it is not a big deal, I think, to the average American as far as feeding their family.
They're both big deals. Okay, we're on a yellow alert.